All right. Replaced both fuel filters. Pretty easy. Did what I wanted to do. I put some miles on it and burnt up most of the old diesel, mixed it in with some good stuff again. That filter up there was full of crap. It was actually filled so bad, the little water separator drain underneath, yeah, the hose isn't on it right now, was completely plugged up with stuff when I went to drain it. But everything's good. That was easy. I did take it for a test drive after. I also did the oil change and forgot to tighten the dipstick down, so it splashed oil everywhere. Oil filter in there is changed. Looks like it dripped a little bit on the test ride, but it's on there as tight as I can get it. It should seal itself up. The sprayer did end up working. Somebody pointed out to me on the Facebook group and on the YouTube comments that you can take like a little needle and stick it inside the sprayer and adjust it. And I did that and it works. So that part number is Dorman 9024-5504. That'll work if you're missing these. I got the headlights off. Going to be replacing them with some LEDs. The headlights in here were extra dim because at some point somebody put 24 volt headlights in here. So obviously these are 12 volt and it wasn't putting out enough power. That's why they were so dim. These are the headlights I'm going to be putting in. They're just some Chinese LED bulbs. I think I got them on Prime Days on Amazon. Like most of the other people have shown, it comes with this type connector. And then they made a wire harness to go to a Jeep. But I cut the wires and used the old pigtails from the 24 volt lamps. So I can make my own little harness to plug them in. White is low beam, blue is high beam, black's ground. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my hand, but all right, let's see if it works. Working on doing the coolant flush and fill today. Letting the last of that pour out. Gonna fill it up with the garden hose. Once it's done, I got some of this stuff. #1 in the country. But I don't know. I'm not gonna do what the instructions say. Actually go out and drive it, and I'm gonna use 2 of these since it's a big engine. It's not coming out that dirty, but it was mostly water in there. So I'm gonna do that, and then I have that CAT additive to put in. While I'm waiting for the engine to warm up, as part of it, these were all loose, like they don't stay put. I got 3 replacements for them. It's part number 360400. Like Kaiser parts. Alright. The directions on the flush say to if you want a deep clean, to drive it for like 3 to 6 hours, but I'll go make a run into town. We're gonna grab some food and stuff. And should get it hot enough. That flush actually did a pretty good job. Be able to tell better, but the water came out clear. The first time I just put it in and flushed it, and then I added the flush. We went out and gave it a good, I don't know, 40 miles of driving at full speed with the heat on. And well, it's not really rusty colored, but you can see it's dirty. So, did its job. Yeah, that's what the coolant looks like. Kind of like sandy water. So it took a lot of the crap out. In the video, there is a slight sheen on the top. I also used this bucket when I did the oil change. So there's no oil in the coolant. That's just from this particular bucket. One thing I didn't mention about my oil change too was the drain plug had 0 pieces of metal on it. So that's a good sign. I'm going to be putting this CAT ELC extended life coolant in. Alright, so everything went pretty good with the coolant change. You can see it's the new red type. Drove it around quite a bit. I need to put more time on it. From talking on the Facebook group, it seems like I had less go in and out than what's on the TM for capacities. It was like short by around two-ish gallons. But I'm wondering if just that much was still stuck in the system, or I got some air and it's still gonna burp out, but I'll be sure to keep an eye on it. Noticed when I was hand pumping the cab up and down that it seemed like there was a lot of air in there. So I'm gonna use some of this Hapco hydraulic oil, AWISO 32. I bought 2 gallons of this to have on hand. Got it off Amazon. This is the recommended stuff to go in here as per the TM. When I check the oil in here, it's basically showing nothing. It's low. I don't know what type's in there or whatever, but I'm just going to top it off, so hopefully by hand it will work, and then I'll probably put all new fluid in there when I actually do the rebuild kit on this. Alright, now that that's filled up, I'm going to see if the cab goes up better. This is something I wanted to look at next. Watched a video somebody else did, and the little cam piece up there is supposed to slide up and down once the cab tilts all the way forward, and it kind of makes this lock into place, and then I guess when you pump it up. So I'm going to spray it a whole bunch and mess with it and see if I can get it to do what it's supposed to do. Notice while I was messing with the cab lift lock, looks like this lower body mount is gone. Curious if it's gone on the other side. I'm gonna have to look into fixing that. So I had some oil, or what I thought was oil, leaking in the transmission, and I just noticed while I had the cab up, got something squirting out of here. So it's a hydraulic leak, which would make sense on why that was empty up there. I did not realize this. I must have thought the wetness was from that blowing by. So figure out exactly where the leak is on this, and I actually have a rebuild kit for this, so I might be doing that. Alright, to do the cab latch rebuild, you obviously need the cab latch rebuild kit. Small snap ring pliers. I had to use an adjustable because all the nuts were a different size underneath. But the top bolt part is an 11/16. My impact for it. A couple different picks for removing and putting the new O-rings and wipers in. Had a flathead screwdriver, a little rod, soft mallet hammer for getting some stubborn stuff out. My hydraulic line fitting was 9/16. That's something that varies, so might not match up with yours. And I don't say this when I do the work, but one thing to keep in mind is the bolt below where the 90-degree hydraulic fitting is coming in can't be put in with that fitting in place. So in order to get that bolt all the way out or put it back in, that needs to be out of the way. So you got to loosen that and take it off first. Put the bolt in when you're reinstalling everything. Then put the hydraulic fitting on and tighten it. Alright, I got everything off and I got my rebuild kit here, but the first thing is going to be taking this all apart. I think it's pretty straightforward. I did watch another YouTube person who redid theirs, and they did it with it on the truck. I decided to just take it off. All right, I got it all taken apart. It's kind of laid out. You know, there's still a few more pieces inside here and stuff like that. There's a little wiper there. This doesn't come with the rebuild kit. Spring. Clean all this up. You got the O-ring right here. And this one was probably what was leaking along with this one. Those are the like internal. That black one that's still intact was like in there. And the orange colored one's in that little spot there. You can see the black right in there. So what I got to do now is just clean all this stuff up really good. Probably use some brake cleaner and get all the O-rings off, and I'm going to lay everything out and get it ready to put back together. Alright, got everything cleaned up, and here's all my new O-rings. This was completely missing, and this is the one that was completely deteriorated. I wasn't sure which way this one went in. I didn't think about it when I pulled it out. I didn't realize it was like cone shaped or whatever like this. There's the hole. It's gonna go like that. I don't know how to describe it, but the little wiper seal. Gonna put it back together now. All right, so it looks like I am not gonna successfully be able to put this back together. This kit that I bought, this O-ring fucked up. Also, this was the new wiper. It's thicker, so it wouldn't fit properly in to where it was supposed to. Look how much thicker that O-ring is. So I wasn't able to push the latch pin, and I tried tapping it with a rubber mallet, and that's what it did. It just ripped the O-ring. This O-ring, I mean, look at that. That's not even close. This is a piece of the old internal pin O-ring, and this is the one that came in my kit. 0.105, and that's on there tight. 0.133, also on there tight. So it's substantially thicker, which is going to reduce the inner diameter hole as well as the outer diameter from what this was supposed to be. And you can see I put it back together, but when I tried to push it through, it did that. Alright, so I did end up putting it back in. I used an O-ring from my O-ring kit that was slightly smaller than it probably should have been, but after putting it all together, it works. I put the cab up and down, and where I noticed it leaking was if you had it in the raised position and you put a good amount of pressure on it with the cylinder all the way extended, like right now is when I heard it bubbling and it would have leaked. It's not doing it anymore. Not to say that it's not gonna fail prematurely, because it's not the best O-ring, but it's in there and it's working for the time being, and I'm going to work with that eBay seller and see what the deal is. But at least I got that completed, and I could lower my cab back down and not have the truck stuck in the middle of the driveway. Got my Harbor Freight O-ring kit, the SAE. This is the one I used on the internal. Number 114 to 5/8, 3/16, 3/32. That did the trick, and it also appears 216 would be the big plunger. It's a 1 1/8 and to a 1 3/8, 1/8 thick. So I guess if you have one of these, instead of buying the whole kit, if your wipers are reusable, you can rebuild it with the Harbor Freight kit. Let's hope this project goes better than the last one. But this little U-shaped oil line going to the fuel pump is a common failure point with these motors. So I'm going to switch it to a flexible stainless steel braided line like most other people do. Here's the parts I'm going to be using. It's a little 6-inch stainless steel braided line, All-Star Performance, part 46400-6. One's a right angle and one's a straight. These are just links on eBay. I'll put more details in the description about these. A bunch of other people have done write-ups on these. Going to be an 18mm to get the existing line off, and then 9/16 is for all the fittings on here. You'll also need a 5/8 wrench, socket, and a 9/16 socket. I don't know if you're going to hear me over the engine, but it doesn't look like there's any leaks. Well, I just took it for like 5 or 6 miles for a couple minutes. Got her up to temp. No leaks coming out of there. It's good. I don't know if you could hear it in the video. See that little air piece or whatever right there? Notice the last couple times I shut the truck down when it was warm. That's either sucking or pushing air out, and couldn't figure out what was coming from. I thought it was coming from that radiator cap fitting right there, but it's not. I stuck my finger in there and I don't really know what that is. I'm gonna have to look into it. Tighten up this nut because I noticed as I was using this today it was leaking a little bit. I don't know if that's gonna help. Then one of the first things I did to come out here and sort of observe was see if I could put CTIS, and I don't know where all that is in there, man. I don't think that's good. Didn't get what I wanted to all the way done. Made some progress. I found probably more problems than I fixed. Man, I really messed around with that and I just could not get it to do what it's supposed to, so I just soaked the crap out of it with PB Blaster. Work at that another day. I think that's gonna wrap up this update, and hopefully I'll have more next time and have less problems.